Hello, friend. Let me show you how I took this piece from a true struggle of trying to get it to work to adding the final touches. All right, let's get started. Hello and welcome. If you love abstract art and the creative process, you're in the right place. I'll talk you through my steps and throw in some stories about being an artist and running an art business. My name is Betty with Betty Franks Art, and super happy that you're here today. All right, so I'm going to be taking you through this piece that I semi-started, so I kind of forgot to turn the camera on, which sometimes that happens. And so I got started here with some mark making and then added black. And then from there, I just did some gray with the black that I already had on my brush, added some white. And now I'm just moving through this process of adding colors. And I love to use either warm colors or cool colors. So in this particular case, I decided to go with cool colors being your blues and greens and like teal here. Yellow also counts. I'd like to use yellow with either my warm or my cool colors. So I sped this up pretty fast because I wanted to get through this initial few stages. And the reason for that is because it was a total failure. And sometimes that's going to happen where, I get started and, I think that I'm going at a good, I've got some good structure, good bones to the painting. Like here, you can see that I've got some larger elements and some smaller ones, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't working. And so I had to, make some adjustments along the way. And now this took place over a period of, several days or maybe even weeks. I think I had set it aside for a little bit. So I'm working on this one, and one of the things I wanted to talk about while we're watching me put down that first layer is, what do you do when a painting isn't working? Do you abandon it? Do you keep going? What do you do to bring that back? So, one thing that really helps me a lot is to distance myself from that painting. So walking away, whether that's, overnight or just stepping away for a while, maybe turning it around so I can't see it, and then putting it back up on the wall. Now, I did rotate my canvas here, and if you guys know me, you know that I very rarely, if not like pretty much almost never, rotate my canvas. So I was struggling and I was trying to figure out what I can do. So that is actually, one of the items on my list here for you, which is you can rotate your painting so that you can, have kind of a different perspective on it. And I did bring it back to, actually I flipped it all the way around and I continued to add paint. So turning it and continuing to paint. And then, another thing that you can do is come in with different colors. So sometimes my colors are too limited, which is a real frustration for me and a real challenge for me when I only put out a few colors and, kind of rely on being able to do a lot of color mixing to create new colors. And so I think that was part of the problem here, as I felt like I didn't have very many. Now here I came in with a larger element, and it's almost too large. It's proportionately not correct with the size of this canvas, which by the way is a 36 by 36 inch. And so, I'm trying to figure out what can I do here to start pulling this painting together. All right, so another thing that you can do is you can, and I'm going to talk about this other one. Actually, I'm going to talk about it last. So I talked about adding some new colors or different colors. That helps a lot. But also, you can certainly just start all over. And in a sense, I do that as I rotated it. I kind of started all over, especially since I flipped it all the way over. And now I'm trying to salvage what I've got, those teal ones in the middle there that I kind of brought back in. And you're going to have days that are just off, and whatever you do isn't going to work, and that's okay. We can't create a masterpiece every time we walk into the studio. There are going to be days where it's just not clicking for you. But I think what's really important when that happens is, one, to identify that and to recognize it and to go with the flow of it. And one way that I do that is I can just continue to paint until I love it. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm continuing to add paint. All right, so I'm just about going to call this layer done, coming in with some yellow here on top of some wet paint. And that turned a little bit green, which I love because it picked up some of the blues there. So I do love these colors, by the way. I think that they work well together. But overall, here I am wiping it down because that yellow wasn't working there. I had it in a couple of other areas and I liked where I had it. So that was me staring at it, trying to figure out where to go next. Now I'm coming in with a lighter value. Oftentimes when I'm feeling stuck, I will come in with a lighter value, because if you're looking at the rest of it, other than where I just came in with the lighter value, it's all in the midtones. There's not a whole lot of the extreme of one end of the value scale to the other. So I do have some darker areas, but I didn't have the really light areas. So I'm coming in with light, and I'll do that. You know, when I'm feeling stuck, I'll say, okay, well, maybe it's an issue with my values. Although I don't always start with values too early on in my painting. I tend to do them, you know, maybe halfway through. Maybe we can call this halfway through. I don't know. Hard to say sometimes how many layers it's going to take. I'll give you a hint. This one took a lot of layers. So when I was creating this was several months ago. This recording is May 24th, 2023. When I recorded this and when I was working on this piece, it was a couple of months ago. And that was when I was kind of under some pressure to create art for my very first solo show, which actually opened on May 6th. So several weeks ago. Super happy with the show, super happy with all the pieces that I have in the show, and the ones super grateful to the folks who already purchased art, both large and small pieces, and they are enjoying them at home now. So I was creating this because I needed to be creating large pieces for my show. So there's a little bit of pressure there when you need to work on something and you've got a deadline. Sometimes I work well under deadlines, sometimes I don't. And I think this canvas was an example of one where I wasn't working well under a deadline. Here I'm coming back in with some black because I really covered all of it up. And none of it is showing through. And then I decide, well, I don't really like the way that looks, so I'm taking some of it back out again. Again, with my spray bottle with water in it, taking out some areas that I don't like. Sometimes when I do that, I actually like it better because it removes some of the paint, but not all of it. I can tell by the way I stop and look at it that I'm really hesitating and can't figure out where I need to go. All right, I'm calling it done for the day. Not done. All right, so I slowed this down. I grabbed this inspiration piece. So this is a small 10 by 10 that I created, and I absolutely loved it. And so I put it up on my wall so that I can see it. There it is. And that way I can just glance over and get some inspiration from it. So that was my other item on my list, is when you are feeling stuck, find some new inspiration to use. So I am starting all over, but I'm not going to gesso this. I'm going to keep the colors I have. I'm doing my mark making here. So you didn't see my mark making at the beginning of this video, but this is pretty much what I do if it was just a white canvas. I come in with some mark making tools such as Neocolor 2 crayons or Prismacolor pencils, China marker, whatever I've got in my container. Right here I've got, I believe those are my Neocolor crayons. If you're interested in my art supply list that I love to use, my favorite art supplies, I'm going to include a link down below, or just leave me a comment. Happy to send you the link. You'll see me glancing over quite a bit now because I'm trying to lay down black pretty much in the same areas that I did on that smaller piece. All right, so starting all over, and I remember coming into the studio feeling really inspired, and actually I thought of it the night before because I was looking at some of my pieces on my phone and I saw that one. I thought, it's square. I just need to create it on a larger scale. And I absolutely, like I said, love that piece, the smaller one. And so creating a larger one was just going to be a lot of fun because I've got a structure that I can follow and use it as a guide. Now, I didn't do everything exactly the way it was because that's very difficult to do, but I did use a lot of the structure that I had in that small piece. And that just made this go so much faster. And of course, I already had the previous layers built up in there, so I didn't have to go through that process of building up a few layers. Personally, I kind of like that. I just did another one the other day. Again, I was stuck. It was a piece that I'd been working on over and over again, and I was getting so frustrated with it. And I did the same thing. And I recorded it from the point of kind of like where we are now, just before I came into showing you my inspiration piece. So I'll be sharing that video. I didn't have video of the piece prior to that. So going back to that handle broke, by the way, so I put some tape on it because I do like that brush. Going back to my art show, I had so the month of February, I worked all 4 weeks on creating large pieces of art for my show. And at the end of this video, I'll be showing you what those look like. Then I went to Croatia to help out my parents during the month of March. And so I wasn't able to be creating these large pieces. I did, however, create pieces on paper that were matted and framed for the show. And I also took with me 5 12 by 12s by a 1/2 inch, and I put those in floating frames. Now, I opted for the 1/2 inch because they needed to fit in my suitcase along with a bunch of other stuff, things I take to my parents and my clothing. So the 1/2 inch ones worked really great. They didn't take up a whole lot of space. And when I brought them back, I was able to drop them into floating frames. So I did, spend my time in Croatia, not just helping my parents, but also working on pieces for the show. And I ended up creating those 5 and plus, wow, I want to say like maybe 10 pieces on paper that I had for the show, something like that. I don't remember specifically. Anyway, if you are interested in seeing I did a video of my gallery opening night. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to put a link down below, or just message me and say video for art show, and I'll be happy to send that to you. So I did the video, but if you're interested in the pieces from the show, I will include a link down below, or just, again, leave me a comment. Happy to provide that to you. Honestly, I think that YouTube makes it so difficult to find the description under each video. I know when I do it on my phone, I have such a hard time finding it. Like, where's the little drop down so I can expand it and see what's in there. Okay, I'm making a note on my paper here so I don't forget to include all that information while you guys watch me move right through this piece. For the art show, I had 41 pieces. I thought I had 40, and then I discovered that there was one I forgot to put on my inventory list. And I delivered it in two different batches, and some pieces were already there. So I had 41 pieces for the show. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put all the pieces up on the wall because there just wasn't enough room. I had so many large pieces and, a combination with the smaller ones. But that's okay because as pieces sold, we were able to bring out the pieces that were in the back room and replace them. Just there, I was drying it just so I can move forward with continuing my painting. Now, do you see how quickly this came together by having that inspiration piece? I love it. There's still more to do here, but I am already, halfway through it in a relatively short period of time. And I say relatively because that sped up part at the very beginning, that was like probably at least an hour and a half, maybe up to 2 hours of my time putting down those layers. Now, some people will say, well, that was such a waste of time and a waste of paint. And I don't believe that. I believe that I learned from that. I don't expect that I can create something perfect every time that I get in front of a canvas. So just putting down paint and building up those layers, because that's part of my process, I don't see that as a waste of time or a waste of my paint. Now I'm mixing paint in these little containers. These are yogurt containers because I probably have too much paint already on my table over there on the plastic. And when that happens, I don't like to mix my warm colors and cool colors unless I'm purposely trying to come up with a mud color or a neutral color. So I'll move to my little containers to mix my colors. Although I did speed this up, I think you can still get the gist of what I'm doing here. You're certainly welcome to slow down the video. You can do that. There's a gear icon underneath the video, and if you just tap on that or click on that, it'll give you some options to slow it down. Now keep in mind that my voice will slow down as well, so that's probably going to sound a bit funny. And then in addition to that, under those options, if you are in a different country other than the US and you speak a different language, my understanding is that if you click on there and look at the options for languages, it should reflect the language of your country. So take a look at that and turn on subtitles or captions so that you can read what I'm saying in your own language. Loving that bright green. In this painting, I introduced some warm colors, so that pinkish and the coral and the kind of orangey color, but not too many. It's more of an accent. I didn't have any of those in my earlier layers. Now, here, it's great having an inspiration piece, but sometimes if you overly rely on it and overthink it, it can slow you down a bit because you're trying to make it exactly like that inspiration piece. And I found that to be true for me as I was going through this process. I kept looking over there and I wasn't painting intuitively as much as I normally would. And so at some point I needed to just stop looking over there and just start doing it, start thinking on my own and doing it from my heart. Although the other piece was created from my heart, so it's not that I'm not creating from my heart. Now here I've come in with a really light value, so this is pretty much white with probably very little color on it. And this is what I mean by introducing, we've got so many dark values in here and mid-range values. Really important to come in with lighter values. And this just makes the painting pop so much more. Now, for some reason, I decided I didn't want all that white, so I am spraying it down. 2 ways for me to get rid of something I don't like. One is to let it dry and paint over it, and the other is if it's still wet and I've already made the decision, then I can just wet it and wipe it down. I'm trying to balance that white, so I've got white in that upper right corner, and now trying to balance it with some, and I didn't want to go all the way down to the left corner because then it would just be opposite corners. So I tend to do something more in the middle area. We're coming up on Memorial Day weekend here in the United States. Again, it's May 24th, 2023. And if you haven't already and you are interested, I've got my online course on sale this weekend for 20% off. And the course is normally $97, so 20% off of that is somewhere like $77, something like that. So if you're interested, again, the link's going to be down below, or message me and I will be happy to send that to you. And you can just comment the word learn and I will know immediately that you're interested in the course and I will send you the link for it. Now with the course you get 5.5 hours of video time. So that's walking through creating a painting, and I've got a couple of bonus videos in there as well. Now, when I'm creating the painting, it's not sped up like it is here. It's a slowed down version, and you hear me talk through the process. And what I did intentionally on this video is I did my whole thought process, like, why am I putting this color here, and explaining to you why I put it there, why I like something, why I don't like something, why I mix certain colors together, why I place them in a certain place. So you'll get to hear me talk through that entire process. And then for the bonuses, I included 2 videos. One is an hour-long video on creating a painting using just black and white. So it's focused on values and the importance of values in your paintings. So we do this exercise that will help you better understand values and how to create some structure in a painting just using values. And then the other video is on varnishing artwork. So moving right through this painting, and I know I've said it before in my other videos, but I love using gray as a neutral, and I use it up in that upper corner there, and I believe I used it in a couple of other areas. I was moving the canvas away from the plastic that's on my wall. When it's up there for far too long, then the plastic sticks to, or the paint sticks to the plastic, and then when I peel it off, I need to peel off the dried paint. And there I was also touching up the edges. I love painting all the way around the edges, and I like to make sure that it's completely covered. Okay, so there was a slight change there. I forgot to turn on the camera, but I started working that lower area, that pink area. And then I came back and turned that back on. So I'm going to make a few modifications here, but not a lot. I had an opportunity to take a photo of it and sit back and look at it and observe it and see, where's my eye going? And I typically look for, where does my eye go that I don't like, and I need to go and fix that area. So that's my gauge of, is it working? Is it not working? All right, so coming back one more time, and I decided that's it, we're done. Now here I'm just knocking back some of the buildup of paint. If it's a little nubs of paint, which really annoy me, I take those off. All right, so what we're going to be doing here, I think we're done. Oh, no, I'm pointing to that area down there. I wasn't happy with the way that lower corner was looking. And so I'm going to fix that. I think I was going to do gray, but decided, well, I think it was too dark, and then I lightened it. I didn't want it to match the upper corner. All right, so better. I think that pink was a bit too much pink compared to everything else that I had going on. So I feel like that's working better. Coming back in and lightening the white area. I have this tendency to come in with a lighter value, but I don't cover everything. And then sometimes that feels like it's like just one layer is there and it needs to be a bit more opaque, a little bit more solid or opaque. So I'm coming through with a second layer of the white. So thinking through it, I don't know what I have in my mouth. Sometimes I'm munching on like almonds and things like that. I'm trying to find a way to balance that white a bit more, and that's why I'm coming in with a lighter value on my stepping stones. I'm doing air quotes here, my stepping stones, because that represents my love for stepping stones. Okay, we are back, and this time I'm done. So I'm doing my final mark making here. And I know it's a distance away, so it's hard for me to get in close with my final mark making. If you'd like to see what kind of marks I like to do, check out some of my smaller videos so that you can get a closer view. If you've enjoyed this video or are still enjoying this video, still hanging out with me, I so appreciate you being here. I would love it if you can give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and then also hit that bell so that you're notified of my new releases as they come out. Now, you're not just helping me, but you're also helping your fellow artists who are looking for videos like this one. So what happens is when you give things a thumbs up, videos a thumbs up, then YouTube serves it up to more people because they say, hey, people like this, so let's show it to some more folks. So you're helping me and helping others. My final mark making includes a regular pencil, Prismacolor pencils, Neocolor 2 crayons or Neocolor 1, whichever I have on hand. Stabilo woodies I like using as well. China markers. Right there where my hand was moving really fast, that was an eraser. The beauty of all of those mark making tools that I use is when I use just a regular eraser to remove, oh, here I am, super happy that we're done. I can use a regular eraser to erase anything that I don't like that I put down. So don't be afraid to make marks. Just have a handy regular eraser in your hand ready to erase something that you don't like. And that includes Neocolor 2, the Stabilo Woody. I can, erase crayon marks as well. All right, so coming in with some close-ups here, trying to show you things that you definitely can't see from far away. And that's what I love about the art that I create. I want you to see it from a distance, and I want it to pull you in. And then when you come up close, you see even more. There's the side view. I'll have some still images for you as well. I love that dark gray down there, those circles. There's another very light area, white. Lots more going on when you come up close. You can see so much more. You can see that depth of the previous painting, little bits and pieces of it showing through. And I think having that happen just makes the painting so much more interesting and giving it just a whole different life. All right, and there's my signature. I like to sign in pencil because oftentimes I mess it up and I just erase it and redo it. One more full view of it. I'm going to take you around the room here. So let's come around. See, my palette is just completely covered with different colors of paints at this point. Layered up. I just peel that off when it dries. All right, so there's a 48 by 48 that I finished for the show, And there's my favorite seating area. There's another piece. Oh my goodness, that one went through so many transformations. Again, I was very stuck on that one. There's a few pieces back here. And I've got a few more right here. So this was kind of still early on in my process. You know, several of these have already sold. That one has sold. The one that I created sold. The one that I showed you today sold to Gina. Thank you, Gina. And then those two down there, one of them had sold and one of them is still available, but they look a bit different than you see there. There's the final piece in its entirety. And I'm going to show you some close-ups. Now, I'm going to show you a close-up of a piece that I used as an inspiration for an entire painting. So that's another thing you can do, which is this piece here. I came across this picture and I said, oh, I'm going to create a painting. So I created this large painting. It's a 36 by 48, if I remember correctly. So that's another thing that you can do is take a piece of a close-up picture of a painting that you did and use that as inspiration to create another piece. All right, got a few more. Oh, there we go. All right, so there I am, super happy, headed off to Gina. Okay, and a big thank you for the folks who have supported me monetarily. So Jinx, the Disney Beans, Barbie, Maureen, Deb, Karen, and Ann, thank you. I am super grateful. You can just click on that heart with the $ in it if you would like to help me out. Thank you to all those folks. Okay, here you can watch some more videos, you can subscribe. Remember to hit that like button. I really appreciate that, and wishing you a super fabulous and creative day. Take care.